Imagine this. You open your banking app and the balance is not running away from you anymore. Every grocery run feels lighter. The rent does not scare you at the first of the month. There are still places in America where that feeling is real. We are going to travel through 10 states where day-to-day life stays affordable without giving up space, comfort, or community. I will count down one by one so you always know where we are on the list and exactly how much typical families spend on the big stuff like housing, rent, and the basics. We start at 1 Oklahoma. This is where the cost of living undercuts the national average by a wide margin. The overall index sits near the upper 80s, which means life essentials are materially cheaper than most places. A typical home value in Oklahoma hovers around $217,700, which keeps mortgages manageable for middle-income buyers. If you rent, the average statewide apartment payment is about $1,035 for a standard unit, which is among the lowest in the country. When you add groceries, commuting, and day-to-day expenses, many families find they can keep a monthly budget that leaves room to save. Think about a simple plan: a 2-bedroom rental near a mid-sized city at roughly $1,000, a reasonable utilities bundle that is usually lower than coastal states, fuel and insurance that often come in below national norms. The result is a budget that breathes instead of bursting. Now we move to 2 Mississippi. This state has built a long-term reputation for bargain living, and it still earns that status. A typical home value stands near $191,600, which makes ownership one of the most attainable in the nation. Renters see relief too, because an average apartment runs around $1,305 statewide. Many towns offer even less, especially away from the Gulf Coast hubs. Grocery bills are generally lighter than the United States average, and commuting costs are helped by shorter drives and less congestion. A family building a starter budget here can realistically aim for a mortgage or rent in the low thousand range plus moderate utilities and still have breathing room for savings or debt paydown. We keep rolling to 3 West Virginia. Mountain views and modest bills define living here. The typical home value comes in close to $173,200, which is strikingly low for a state with such outdoor access and small city amenities. Average rent sits around $1,275 statewide, and many smaller markets dip below that line. Healthcare and transportation often price under national averages, which helps retirees, fixed-income households, and first-time buyers. Set a monthly plan with rent near 1,200, groceries a touch under national norms, and utilities that tend to be tempered by less extreme summers. That mix lets a paycheck stretch much further than in big coastal metros. Next up is 4 Alabama. The headline here is that even with fast-growing metros, the numbers still lean friendly. A typical home value sits around $235,100, which is far below the expensive coast. Renters pay roughly $1,288 statewide for an average apartment, and smaller cities often post less. Food, transportation, and insurance are usually manageable, and that southern commute keeps fuel costs practical. Put it together, and a family can plan rent near 1,300, utilities that are predictable, and a grocery bill that does not spike wildly month to month. For many movers from high-cost states, Alabama feels like hitting reset on the monthly burn rate. We move across the map to 5 Kansas. Middle America math works in your favor here. A typical home value sits near $242,980, and the rental market averages about $1,243 for a standard apartment. That combination means both buyers and renters can target payments that do not swallow the paycheck. Commutes are short, maintenance is reasonable, and day-to-day shopping is steady. A practical Kansas budget looks like this. Rent in the low 1,200s, utilities that do not yo-yo through the seasons, and weekly groceries that stay close to or a hair below national averages. The result is a lifestyle that supports saving for a down payment, education, or a small business without constant stress. We keep counting with 6 Missouri. The numbers stay friendly and options range from quiet towns to active metros. Typical home value sits about $261,700 in statewide average rent lands near $1,273. In many neighborhoods, especially outside the core of St. Louis and Kansas City, you will see both figures run lower. Add in transportation that is easier on the wallet than most coastal traffic zones and a steady market for utilities, and you get a budget that lets families reclaim weekends from overtime. Many households carry a rent or mortgage under $1,300 and still manage normal monthly costs without a squeeze. Now we arrive at 7 Arkansas. If you are hunting for low rent, Arkansas jumps off the page. Average apartment costs hover near $1,093, and typical home values land around $219,400. Outdoor towns, university hubs, and quiet counties all share that trait of staying under national price lines. Groceries and basic services trend conservative, which stabilizes budgets for families with kids or anyone building an emergency fund. A simple Arkansas plan often looks like rent, a little over 1,000 reliable utilities, and routine car expenses that do not run away from you. The total lets people live without sacrificing savings. We step into 8 Iowa. Value here is consistency. A typical home value sits near $233,000, and the average statewide rent is around $1,220. Insurance maintenance and commuting rarely shock the budget in winters, while cold are offset by housing that stays decisively below big city levels. A balanced monthly plan might feature a $1,200 rent line utilities that are predictable and a grocery cart that mirrors or edges below the national median. For families who want suburban calm with city access, Iowa's math is compelling. We head to 9 Michigan. Yes, winters are real, but cost arithmetic is grounded. The typical home value is around $291,500, with many smaller markets far below that mark. Average statewide rent comes in near $1,346. In practice, families choosing mid-sized cities or lake country towns often find prices that beat these statewide averages. Transportation costs are manageable outside the densest areas, and groceries remain stable across seasons. A working budget with rent near the mid-1300s, utilities that spike in winter but ease in summer, and the usual commute will still land safely under the totals common on the coast. We close the list at 10 Tennessee. Even with popular metros drawing newcomers, the statewide figures stay competitive thanks to strong incomes, no tax on wage income, and broad housing choice. A typical home value sits near $334,100 by the latest read, while the average statewide rent is about $1,494. Choose suburbs and second-tier cities, and many families still rent in the low to mid-1200s or buy under the statewide average. Daily costs like fuel, groceries, and services are generally moderate compared with coastal peers. Budgeting with a rent in the upper 1200s, utilities that are steady, and commute costs that are sane gives households room for savings and fun rather than constant bill shock. Pull the camera back and a pattern appears across these 10. Housing sets the tone, and in each of these states, the entry price to a decent home or a clean 2-bedroom apartment is materially lower than America's most expensive regions. Average apartment rents cluster between about $1,035 and $1,494 across the list, with several states closer to the very bottom of that range. Typical home values sit mostly in the low to mid $200,000, with a couple of places nudging toward the low $300,000, yet still well below coastal norms. Transportation is kept in check by shorter drives and lower congestion. Groceries rarely outpace the United States average, and in several states, they are meaningfully lower. That is why a middle-income paycheck stretches. A realistic monthly picture in these states looks like rent or mortgage in the $1,000 to $1,500 band, depending on market utilities that do not swing wildly and daily costs that feel predictable. It is not fantasy. It is a map for a calmer financial life. From 1 Oklahoma through 10 Tennessee, that is the journey. 10 places where the math of ordinary life still works. 10 places where a modest salary can buy room to breathe. If you have been waiting for a sign to pick a state, plant roots, and reclaim your budget, this list is your green light.